What's up guys, Armada here, and in today's video we are gonna go over an online melee tournament that happened yesterday. I never thought I would say these words, but Roy won a stacked online tournament. Or I should rather say Saints Roy won a stacked online tournament. Now I know some people will say, online doesn't count, blah blah blah, but I figured we should go into it because, let's be honest, it sounds very absurd. 2020 melee, I'm honestly not sure what to say. But yeah, let's look at the bracket. This tournament actually had a lot of good players entering. We have Ginger, for example, Rybeat, Reed, Ricci going Young Link apparently, Bobby Big Balls, Aklo, KGH, Bones, Two Saint, and Don't Test Me, aka Sane. Not really sure where the Don't Test Me thing comes from, I'm gonna be honest. But let's look at Sane's path to glory in this tournament. So first time in this tournament he drops a game is against J-Flex. Pretty solid Cheek main. 2-1. Feels like it should be a pretty atrocious matchup, especially in NTSC. But Sane, he prevails. Going into winter quarters, where he plays against Two Saint, Roy against Puff. I know some people might meme about like Roy's up B and stuff. Let's be honest, that actually is like very bad. On top of being very risky, you can actually use DI into Roy and get hit by multiple hits and you don't even die in like by far most scenarios. In case people didn't know. But that's actually like a really impressive win. I'm not sure how much experience Two Saints have with like net play and stuff, but like that feels like it's gonna be a really hard matchup. Of course, Sane knows the Puff matchup in general as Marth, and even though Roy is an atrocious character, he does have some similarities to Marth at least, right? But that's still actually really crazy. Then he's going into the top 8, and he beats in a reverse 3-0 fashion KGH. Also very crazy. Going on to beat Bobby Big Balls 3-1. These two tends to stream a lot together, so they know like the weaknesses, strengths of the other player. Like if I tune into like Saint's stream, it's a very high chance that these two guys are playing. Then after that he drops a set to Ginger before taking it in game 5 in set 2. So it's like, I believe Ginger was ranked like 22nd or something at the last Mayim ranking. Bobby, I'm not entirely sure, but he's been on the uprise pretty lately. KGH, probably somewhere in the 30s, but he's been like on a little bit of a break, but like kind of like coming back now. I really hope this doesn't discourage him, because he is a really good player. And then Two Saint, I also think like somewhere in the top 30s. Don't quote me on that. I actually don't remember all of the ranks, like exactly. But this is like 3 good opponents like that have multiple good wins each. Great placements at like various big tournaments. So how could this happen? A character like Roy that we honestly haven't really seen since like 2005 with like Neo. And then I also know like the former best in Europe, Ek, he won actually a Swedish tournament with Roy. But that was also like back in 2005. So it's like we haven't really seen this character for like 15 years. And it's a lot of reason for that, right? Roy has so many like non-functional moves pretty much. His aerials don't even kill it like 300, and crouch cancel destroys the character. He just has like a lot of flaws, but I think it's a few factors that somehow made this possible. So let's go over them. I think obviously Sane is a better player overall in general than all these players, and in Melee it's a game where any gap whatsoever very clearly shows. I feel like a lot of other games, like, and this might be a little bit ignorant as well, from me. So I'm open for the fact that I'm wrong here. But it feels like Melee in particular really, really punishes small skill gaps due to like how crazy deep the game is and how much it is to optimize. So, of course, Zane had that in his advantage. Like, even though he plays a bad character, he still knows all these things better than his opponents, right? Like, he still has, like, a better neutral game. He knows how to punish better. Baits, edge guards, not sure how much he can do that with Roy, but I wouldn't be surprised if Zane picked up some sick edge guards along the way. It's like, let's say you have like roughly like 20 important areas in Smash, like really important, that like sets players apart. Then a player of Zane skill level is probably better in at least like 18 or 19 out of those compared to like a player in like the top 20 or like top 30. So even if he plays a bad character, he still has the advantage of like actually knowing these things better than his opponents. So that's a huge factor, of course, like player skill. And then also like matchup. Like, I know some people will be like, you're crazy, but when Zane plays a bad character against like all these opponents that play great characters, at the end of the day, he still knows more how to fight. He still knows more how to fight like Falco or Fox or Puff than they know how to fight a Roy. And this might sound crazy because people will be like, oh, but like Zane doesn't have any experience with Roy, right? The thing is, like, he still like deep down knows like, exactly how to fight Fox and Falco. And even if he has a new character, and by new character, I mean for this one online tourney. Maybe he plays it in more online tourneys for fun. But at the end of the day, like, he knows like how to like fight these characters. He knows like their mix-ups, their little tricks. And this doesn't really apply to any of these players against Zane. Like, if you play against Roy, like, do you know exactly how to DI in certain scenarios? And of course, you're gonna have some Reddit warrior that find their way to like the YouTube comments and be like, oh, I know all everything about Roy. I'll tell you not. I'll tell you they do not. So it's like, of course, like, Zane probably caught a lot of these players with things that they had no idea exactly how it worked, exactly how to DI. So of course that, gave him one advantage as well, right? And then, honestly, I could see the pressure getting to these players. No one wants to be losing a best of 5 to a Roy, or a best of 3 for that matter. So pressure probably got to the players as well, I could imagine. Because in Zane's position, you have nothing to lose, really. If you lose with Roy, no one is really gonna care, right? But if you win, well, then you're a legend. So that, from a mental aspect, of course, can impact players too. But also on top of all these things, and I'm not saying Roy in any capacity is a good character, but I do think it sort of like at least highlights how far you can push even bad characters in Melee. Roy is far from these good characters, and even with like honestly a tiny bit of experience for these players, I think all of these players probably would win the run back. I'm saying it now. I might have to take back my words if Zane enters some other tournament. But if he does enter another tournament with Roy, and it might sound pathetic, but I do think Ginger, Bobby, KGH, and every other player that lost to Zane's Roy, they should like spend like 10-15 minutes to understand like Roy's mix-ups and stuff. And the character do have issues to the point where a little bit of matchup, being familiar to the matchup, honestly probably will turn it around. So that's a thing also as well. I think a lot of these bad characters, winning the first time, even though it's incredibly hard, might be the easiest because people will, or should at least, spend that little amount of time to actually learn how to fight the character. So, I mean, if Zane does enter another tournament again with Roy online, I would actually probably favor these players. At least I hope. I hope. Like, I don't know. I feel like Roy shouldn't be able. He shouldn't be able. But as I said, I might have to take the words back. Zane is clearly a better player. So, of course, he can also improve with Roy as well, right? Like, I don't think he's really been playing Roy much. But I could see all these players probably struggling surprisingly much to like edgeguard Roy, for example, DI mix-ups as we talked about. But I'll probably give them all the benefit of the doubt for a potential run back. At least Ginger and KGH, probably Bobby too, but Bobby Insane has played so much that maybe that would still like help Sane more. But yeah, it is crazy. As I said earlier, I did not believe that I would say Roy being, you know, played by the winner of a tournament this stacked. Because to be fair, this tournament was stacked. It was stacked. And it makes me kind of wonder like how far you could push some characters. Because this question is brought up a lot. People are like, oh, how far can you get with like this character or this character? And honestly, I do believe a lot of them you can very clearly make it into the top 100. A lot of them, I think, like top 50 as well. Even if the opponents start getting matchup experience, because that's something you need to take into account. Like, if someone actually mained Roy and was like a top 50 player, or 50-ish player, then people would learn the matchup. And that would be a big problem. That doesn't mean you can't improve as Roy, right, in these matchups. But of course, with all these disadvantages, it's such an uphill battle. So I do think the surprise factor the first time helps a lot. But I mean, in a hypothetical world where Sane solo mains Roy, he's still gonna do surprisingly well for playing such a shitty character. And it's just, as we talked also about earlier, the skill gaps in Melee, like, it's just such a deep game, and if you know how to like take advantage of all the tools in the game, it can help you so much, even if you play a very bad character. So honestly, I actually kind of hope Sane plays Roy for another online tourney, and we get to see some of these runbacks. But yeah, that's pretty much gonna be it. But we do have one question. We do have one question here. For tomorrow's video, I actually do plan to analyze one of these sets. So I want you guys in the comment section below to say which set you want me to analyze. So either the second set of grand finals against Ginger, winner's final against Bobby, or winner semis against KGH. One of those three sets we will analyze tomorrow on stream. But I want you guys to let me know which one you guys want to see. But yeah, that's going to be all for this video. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.